What is up, ladies and gentlemen? I'm back after, I think, 4 months of not releasing a single video. This is going to be a banger. Why? Because a lot of stuff happened in these 4 months, and I want to talk about that, right? A lot of changes, and I changed my mind also about a lot of stuff, and I want to share that with you because I think for a lot of people, you're going to learn a lot about that. I have nothing to sell to you anymore, so basically I can be brutally honest, you know what I mean? So a lot of things happened. In the time I was basically not making any videos, I also completely stopped working at Avenue, sold my shares, company, they do what they want, I do what I want, so I have a lot of free time. And I was basically rebuilding one of my projects, and I used a lot of languages, right? I was using Ruby, PHP with Laravel, I was using Next.js, Remix, a lot of stuff, which I'm going to talk about, why I picked this particular language, which is built right now, this thing, and why it's not Go, because that's already a spoiler. And also I switched from Vim to VSCode again, and from VSCode to Cursor, and then from Cursor to Z, and we need to talk about that as well. Right, so first of all, I was gone for a couple of months. I needed to take a big break from all the content creation and all the shenanigans going on. And I had a lot of free time to experiment with a lot of tools. I think it's important, even though I am a programmer for like over 20 years, it's very important to keep experimenting with a lot of languages, right? We are programmers, right? And people are actually mad, right? When I was streaming the past couple of weeks, and people are so mad that I'm not using Golang for this project, or not basically make any videos about Golang. But the thing is that we are programmers, right? And it doesn't really matter what language you use. You're a programmer. You can program in any language, right? That's very important. You do not fit in a certain bracket. You just, like I said, it's so cliche, right? You use the tool, the right tool for the right job, right? That's the thing. And I was using Ruby on Rails, which is an amazing language, an amazing framework as well. The problem that I had with Ruby was that it was a little bit too magical, right? It's actually so magical that it's too magical. And I love magic, but too much magic is not good, in my opinion. If I needed to make another project where I, just like a CRM kind of style application, I would definitely use something like Ruby on Rails or Laravel. So Laravel is also something that I tried. The thing is that it's amazing as well. The problem is I really don't like the syntax of PHP. It's just using these dollar signs. Like, my memory is basically, my muscle memory is not used to do these dollar sign things, arrows, all that stuff. It's like, I don't know. It's just, this is a personal preference. I think Ruby on Rails and Laravel are on par. Maybe, I don't know. I think they are just on par. It depends on what you want, right? It depends on your personal preference, right? So then I basically switched back to JavaScript, the I want to say the soy dev stack, but that's actually not true, because then I'm a soy dev myself, which might be true. But the thing is that some applications require a lot of state, right? And so I was using let me show you this, right? This is basically a video that I made 9 months ago. This is when I first started this project, FanMade AI. And this was basically written in Go and HTMX, which actually works very well, right? This website worked very well, but was also very basic, right? It was very basic in UI. It was very basic in features and user, how do you say that? In like UX, UI. It was very basic because there are only basic stuff you can do. There's a lot of Alpine that you need to do. There's a lot of servers. At a certain point of time, you're basically scared of implementing a feature because it's going to use so much state on the front end that you need to write a lot of manual jQuery or Alpine or whatever you're using, or even Stimulus, that you just don't want to deal with that, right? So I started in Next, which is amazing, but the problem with Next is that I cannot basically stand the server components. Again, probably a skill issue on my end. I love something more simpler, and then somebody said, hey, Anthony, you need to check out Remix. And actually, Remix fit my mental model very well. You have the loaders, you have actions, and it's just like my mental model personally matched way better with the Remix than with the Next. Which one is better? I don't know. I don't think there is such thing as a better framework. It's just Remix, simpler. And yeah, so that's that. So why aren't we use Golang anymore? Is Golang a bad language, Anthony? Of course not, right? Of course not. The thing is that this application, it takes, this thing takes a lot of state, and it's like, it's just, you see things are cached and all that stuff, and it's hard to explain, right? You see, if you need to do all that stuff in HTMX and Go, it's possible, and it's gonna work pretty fine, but you need to do a lot of stuff, right? You need to do a lot of manual stuff that you don't want to basically deal with, right? You can see, like, even this thing, right, where you have the state, right? So where you're gonna basically create a new persona, right? And you need to have all these states where you go back and forth and all that stuff. It's just like, you need to have cookies and all that stuff with HTMX, and then you need to read the cookie, parse the cookie, and it's JSON and yada yada. It's just, it works, but it's tedious, and you don't wanna deal with these things, right? So that's why I think personally, for these front-end heavy apps, JavaScript is the best. On the other side, this is basically a mobile application. Well, it's not a mobile application, but it's built for mobile. The reason why is because, first of all, so these specific apps are basically very hard to get on the App Store. So because it's like, it's not restricted, right? You can do what you want. You can make a story, you can make a book, you can do whatever you want with this thing. There are no limits. On a mobile application, if people coming from mobile, which 80% are, if you click something, you see there is a loader. You do not want to have this server-side rendered, because then the user clicks on this thing and he needs to wait for 300, 400, 500 milliseconds, and then he goes to ICO's page. And that's just annoying, because sometimes the user thinks like it's annoying, right? So you want to have this client-side rendered, and then somebody on my stream said, yeah, but if you do all client-side, why are you using Remix? And that's a good question. Little did I know. Some endpoints are loaders, and some endpoints I do with use query. So the user can instantly have some feedback and get a spinner. So he just the reactivity is way better, in my opinion, to use that. And if you want to use something like a Ruby or a PHP, or even go with HTMX, it's not the same. A lot of people are going to say you can, you might, and you probably do, you probably can, but let us be honest, it's just not that. And you can see like all these pop-ups here and all that stuff that's going on, and then you have this thing and all these UI elements. It's just that I'm not a designer. I'm a businessman. I'm a builder. I want to build my product. I want to scale my company out. And I want to use the tools that are basically reached out to me, and I'm going to abuse them, right? And that's what's happening here. I'm using the ChatCN library for all that stuff with the little tweaks here and there. In this case, I use the stack that basically fits my company's needs the best, right? And then I need to set all my emotions aside and pick what I needed to pick as a CEO, you know what I mean? So that's that. Okay, cool, enough stuff. If you want to test out FanMade, hey, join the Discord of FanMade, and I'm going to give you some premium stuff for a day or so. You can experiment with that. So the next step is Z, right? So I was remember that I was basically being baptized by the Primogen on my stream, where he basically baptized me to use Vim, and I did for a couple of weeks. But the thing is that I have no clue what's going on. But if I open this up, for example, let me show you here. If I do, for example, boom, and I save it, you see there's delay. I'm gonna do it again. Save. It's maybe for you it feels instantly, but it's not. There's a little delay, and I have no clue what's going on. And people are going to say, yeah, but it's just your config and you have skill issues. Yeah, maybe. But that's just the thing, right? I do not want to spend time on this config. I just want to build out my product, and I do not want to spend time doing this. For a lot of people, this is a hobby, but it's not a hobby. You know what I mean? For me, it's not a hobby. I need to have a tool that just works so I can be productive. That's the thing, right? So we can close this thing back up and put it on the side. So basically, VSCode, while it was a very good editor, so why don't we use it anymore? Because it's so slow. At a certain point of time, if you're coding for more than 4 hours on my PC, VSCode is basic. I don't know what's going on. Maybe a memory leak or something. It's just so annoying. Yeah, so that's why VSCode is a no-go. Then I was using Cursor. Not for the AI, but Cursor's editor, which is a clone of VS Code, it was a little bit faster, a little bit more reactive. But of course, after 4 hours, well, after 5 hours, an hour later in VS Code, he had the same problem. So I said, man, listen, I'm going to try Z. I need to do it because right now I have a Mac instead of my Windows PC. Installed Z. And this editor is just beyond amazing. Everything just works out of the bat. All my keybinds are the same. It's just, I will add my Z config file in the comments below. It's a very minimalistic settings. Actually, let me open this thing. How do we do this? Something like this. We can't like this then. Settings. How do we do this in Z? This thing. Boom. You see, it's very, very simple. Very simple configuration. Everything works out of the bat. It's super fast. It stays fast for the whole day. I never close this laptop, basically. It never has any... Maybe there's a memory leak, but I don't feel any problems. It's beyond amazing. The font rendering. Look at this, guys. It's just... Mwah. Of course, if you use a lot of plugins on your VS Code, there could be... it could be a problem because, as far as I know, Z does not have a big ecosystem, which is normal because it's kind of a new kid on the block. But for normal day operations, if you're just a normal developer, in my opinion, and you have a simple color theme, a color scheme, and you use TypeScript or JavaScript or Ruby, Python, PHP, Golang, Java, all these languages are supported out of the bat. Of course, if you're going to use some kind of a Pepega language for soy devs, yeah, you might be in trouble, or your 50,000 plugins to whatever you want to do. Ain't gonna work. But for me, as a simple developer, I love Z. In my opinion, the best editor that is being made over the past decades. So Z people, you did an amazing job, right? So basically, the last thing I want to discuss with you guys is the fact about a lot of people in my stream, what happened, right? So I was streaming the past couple of days, weeks, and people come into my stream and say, "Oh no, Anthony, you were writing Golang and now you're writing TypeScript. What happened? Why did you change? What's going on? Ha ha ha! You noob! Ha ha!" So, and if you are such a guy and you think that if that's the first thing that comes into your mind, I can guarantee you on a piece of paper that you're never going to make it in your life, right? It's not going to happen as a programmer, and it's probably not going to happen as something else because you're close-minded. You cannot think. You have the IQ of a little mosquito, right? The thing is that, again, it's not about the language. And still on Twitter and other influencers, it's like it's crazy. It's these political belief systems that they create. Rust, JavaScript, Python. You are a programmer. And if you know how to program, if you know the building blocks, if you know the ecosystem, if you know the flow, it's a way of living. If you know all these things, tomorrow there could be a new language and you're going to pick it up in just a blink of an eye. Because once you know how to program, you can program in any single language. In any single language, right? It is what it is. There might be a little bit of a difference between, okay, I'm going to be a game developer or like a low-level developer and a web developer. Although programming stays the same concept, there are some caveats here and there, some little details. Some knowledge that you might need to learn a little bit about, but it's all about experience. Like assigning a variable, calling a function, stays the same in whatever you want to do. Although there is a big difference between web programming, low-level programming, but still, the concept is the same. It's all about media attention. It's all these influencers are shoving all this bullshit up into your ass. I'm not going to name any names, but you're going to know exactly what I mean. A lot of people are basically, they suck at football. They see Ronaldo, Messi, the biggest players that ever exist on this planet. They have these Nike, whatever, Aero Runner shoe 3464. Nike comes up with a commercial. Hey guys, buy this shoe and you're gonna score a hat trick. The noobs buy these fucking shoes and they still be noobs. You know what I mean? It's all commerce. You need to have the basics. Like in fucking Africa, there are these little kids with 0 shoes on that basically gonna clap your cheeks in football and basically 1v10 you. You know what I mean? And these guys have no clothes on. They have no fucking food. And they have no shoes on. And they are better than probably 80% of Europe. You know what I mean? It's just... Why? Because they have nothing else to do. They are footballing the whole fucking day. So you need to have the fucking basics, right? The same with programming. You can use Vim, a keyboard with 25,000 things split in 4. It doesn't really matter. You know what I mean? Vim, not Vim. It's all bullshit. It's giving you the illusion that you're a pro, but actually you suck. The same thing. Rust or whatever, or Zig, OCaml, Elixir, just drop these fucking languages, man. You're wasting your fucking time. Keep it simple. Use the basics. JavaScript, Python, PHP, Ruby. Just stick to the same thing. And of course, if you're already an experienced developer, you can do what you want. You can experiment. I encourage that to do that. Try Zig, try Rust, expand your knowledge, right? But a lot of my audience are basically beginners. And they are so confused. They're going to try Python, and they do it for 1 week, and then somebody else on Twitter or on YouTube say, oh, you need to use Zig. They're going to switch to Zig, and they're going to switch to Rust, and then it's TypeScript again, and it's Remix, and then it's SvelteKit, and then it's... And they're confused, they suck, and they're going to complain on Reddit saying that I'm a noob. You know what I mean? It's just like, keep it to the basics, program, build stuff in whatever language you want, have fun, and do that for a couple of years. Again, exactly, right? For a couple of years, and it's going to change your life. And after you have all these patterns, right? Git and GitHub and whatever fucking tool you're using and all the ecosystem that comes around Kubernetes, Docker, and all this bullshit, YAML and JSON and TOML files. After all these years, you're gonna see it all, and then you're gonna have a bunch of knowledge. And with all that knowledge, you can basically write in every single language that there will be in the next future. All right. So that's something that I want to say to you guys. You just believe in yourself, use what you want to use, keep it simple, build stuff, and keep doing that for a while. And everything will be automatic. Everything will come. The knowledge, everything will come as time goes by. So guys, thank you for watching this video. Join my live streams. And if you're mad that I'm not using Go anymore, well, actually, technically, we still use Go, to be honest, for our LLM router. Like I said, hey, we are using the right tool for the right job, and you should do too. I love you all. Peace and love.